Hey there. This video is going to be about shoulders. So strong shoulders are so important. They are such a complex joint, and your shoulders are comprised of an anterior front joint. They've got 3 different deltoid heads, and then they've got all these scapular muscles that help them move. So your shoulder moves in so many different directions that people don't even think about. It's not like the elbow that does one way and then does the other. And so you have to really be cautious about your shoulders. You have to take care of your shoulders. You have to strengthen your shoulders. And even more than that, you have to strengthen other muscle groups to protect your shoulders. So the rotator cuff muscles are those protectors. You have a static stabilizer, which is your labrum that coats the fossa of your shoulder. And then you have the dynamic stabilizer, which is your rotator cuff. There are also muscles that attach to the scapula. I've just done an instructional video on serratus anterior or scapular push-ups, scapular strengthening that are very important. But I wanted to focus on specific shoulder health exercises. And then possibly if you're dealing with something, maybe a couple that you should avoid, but not necessarily. I'm not a fan of exercise. That exercise is just wrong to do. Every single body is different. Most of the time with shoulder exercises, the only reason why it bothers you is because you have terrible form. So form is important. So I want to talk to you about some of the form with some of the exercises we're going to go through. Let's get started. Okay, so before I do any upper body exercise program, I make a point to do some type of stabilization to wake up the upper back, because it's very important that those stabilizers come in to support the shoulders. So this is a band, and I might do a scapular push-up, which you will see the instructional video on that. Or I'll take this. Also on that video is where I'm taking a band, putting it around my forearms, making sure that I don't have any winging here, that everything stays real even. I'm going to come up and down. So this is working the scapular muscles. I'm not even needing to come up super high with this. Any precautions on this? Not really. So just waking up the scapular muscles. I'm then going to do posture pulls, or what's called a T, because you're putting your body in that position of a T. I'm going to take the band, take it apart. So this is going to wake up the rhomboids. And I'm going to hold like this. I'm doing palms up right now. This band's pretty tough. Squeezing the shoulder blades, making sure that I'm keeping my shoulder blades back and down as I perform this. Core is tight. So if you have pain with this, check your positioning, because a lot of times when you're performing this exercise, you may be elevated or you may be rounded, and that might cause pain. So getting the back of the shoulders. Now I am currently having a little bit of a shoulder issue on one side. All right, so that's about 10 of those. So I'm being cautious. Here's the precaution part. I'm being cautious with my overhead movement. So with my overhead press, I'm being a little cautious about that. I'm also being cautious for me on my front raise. So let's go into, I'm going to do this on one side, overhead press. There are 2-3 ways to do it. There's actually probably 4 ways. If you are having problems with your shoulder, I would probably steer clear of the overhead press for a period of time. However, if you're not, an overhead press performed here in this hammer position, this hammer press, is one. A horizontal press is another. And you will hear people say the horizontal press itself is worse for you. Not necessarily. The hammer press is what actually bothers my shoulder more than the horizontal press. But when I'm having issues with my shoulder, I actually avoid both. So how do I keep it strong? I usually do lateral raises. So a lateral raise is out to the side in this position, keeping it below 90 degrees. I really don't like going above 90. It's not necessary. So keeping that below 90, having a soft elbow when I'm performing. Sometimes if you were to do one side, you can counterbalance by kind of having this arm out to counterbalance you. Now, I'm not doing a true perpendicular lateral raise, which is here. I have it slightly forward about 10 to 20 degrees because that works in the plane of your shoulder blade. It's actually better for the shoulder. So I do lateral raises. I do diagonal. Now, when I'm performing when I'm performing any shoulder exercise, before I even do them, shoulder blades back down. So stay on that diagonal. Now, when you're performing diagonals or lateral raises, start extremely light, especially if you are having shoulder problems. This is one of those things you want to test it first and with good form and see if you have no pain, then you can progress and literally progress 1 pound to 1/2 a pound or 1/2 pound to a pound when you do your progression. So the other exercise I do is external rotation. So this position, keeping the elbows tight into the sides. So this exercise for me is a non-negotiable when I'm performing shoulder exercises. Sometimes I will perform this as a warm-up to my shoulder strengthening, and sometimes I'll perform it as a finisher, but it always gets done. Strengthening the rotator cuff is extremely important for shoulder health. So I'm going to show you another exercise that I do whenever my shoulder is bothering me. Let's get to the floor. Okay, so we're on the floor. We're going to do 2 exercises for the right arm, since that's the one that's kind of bothering me a little bit. I'm just trying to steer clear of this getting worse. So I'm going to come down into this position. Back up a little bit. Towel roll under the elbow. I have my weight. So again, this is one of those exercises. These are really small muscle groups. They're also very vulnerable muscle groups. So you want to make sure that you are being cautious and starting with a very light weight. And I'm going to come up, bring it down, up. So this is for your supraspinatus. This is one of the very common rotator cuff muscles that gets torn. And this isolates it real well in this side lying position. So this weight might be a little bit heavy for me right now. And literally when you start this, you don't want to do more than 1 to 2 pounds starting off, depending on what you're doing. You really don't want to go heavy with this. This is probably as heavy as I would ever go, and this is an 8-pound weight. Really, probably for me, I would prefer a 5. But every single person's different. Now, the next exercise I'm going to show you, I'm going to flip over. Again, if my shoulder is bothering me. Okay, So right side, I'm going to have my elbow, I'm on my side at 90-degree angle. I'm going to roll into that side lying position. I'm not directly on top of my shoulder, not the bone. I'm on the back of it. So then I'm going to take this arm. This is called a sleeper stretch. And I'm going to come down. I'm doing it gently. Now here's where a lot of people do this wrong. They go out this way and they straighten the elbow. You do not want to straighten the elbow. You also don't want to move the upper arm. You want to keep that in a good position. Hold this for 15 to 30 seconds. Come back. I'm actually going to roll back a little bit. And then I'm going to do that one more time. So these are my non-negotiables. These are ones that if I'm having a problem, I'm going to feel confident doing, but that's for my body. Every single person and every shoulder issue is different. If you are having problems, make sure that you contact your physician prior to starting any kind of exercise program. And you can also pick and choose what works for you. Everybody's different. So you can try these, find ones that's like, well, that one helps. I can almost guarantee you that every single external rotation exercise that I showed will benefit you with your shoulders. Incorporate them into your program however you can, just to try to maintain that good shoulder health. Have a good day.